I slept with my roommate and don't know how to handle my life now. I've been head over heels for my roommate, Sarah, ever since we first met 3 years ago. It felt like something clicked between us right away, and I found myself constantly thinking about her. She's funny, smart, and always knows how to make me smile. I was completely smitten, but the thing is, Sarah seemed super into guys. She's always talking about finding her perfect boyfriend, the one who'll sweep her off her feet, just like in a romantic movie. It wasn't like our feelings for each other were a secret. I was pretty open about how I felt. I'd make silly jokes about her, and I even tried to make her jealous with my dates. Sometimes I'd think to myself, maybe she's actually into me. Maybe she's just playing hard to get. But then, she'd say something like, "Oh my gosh, that guy the first met at the coffee shop was so cute. Maybe we'll go on a date." And I'd get crushed. All of this, however, never affected us being roommates. We always got along great, we were there for each other, and we even made a bunch of memories together. We had our own lives outside of the apartment, and even though I was secretly hoping for more, I respected her. Then, a few weeks ago, things changed. Out of the blue, Sarah asked, "I wonder what it would be like to kiss a girl. Do you think it feels different?" I was floored. This had been my secret dream for so long. I wanted to scream with excitement, but I held myself back. "Maybe you'll find out," I said with a smirk. After a moment of awkward silence, we started making out, and it was great. We both seemed pretty into it. For a while, I convinced myself that we were both just having a fun, experimental moment. It was so much better than any make-out session I'd ever had before, even though I always secretly wished I was making out with Sarah. This felt different, special, and so incredibly exciting. I tried to ignore the tiny part of me that knew how intense it felt. Then, a couple nights later, things went a whole lot further. I woke up the next morning feeling like my heart was going to burst. And the worst part was, Sarah was curled up next to me like she was already thinking about her future with someone else. That morning, I knew I was in way over my head. I was confused, terrified, and completely head over heels in love. I just didn't know what to do. Later that morning, Sarah kept looking at me with these big puppy dog eyes. She said stuff like, "Maybe I actually do like girls. And, maybe I should start dating girls." She started cuddling up to me all the time, like we'd always been a couple. This felt really amazing, but it made me super nervous at the same time. What did it all mean? Should I try to be with her, or would I get my heart shattered into a million pieces? After that first night, I started acting weird. I tried to avoid her. I stayed in my room as much as possible. I didn't want to do anything that might mess things up. The first couple of times we were alone after that night, it was just really awkward. She would look at me like I was a stranger. She would make up excuses to leave the room, but she also kept acting like she was into me. The worst part was, I knew she probably figured out how much I liked her. We finally got the chance to talk the next Sunday at the library, which was when I was supposed to tell her everything. It was like a movie scene or something, where everyone around us was just living their lives, and I was staring at this gorgeous girl who could make me or break me. I felt my whole body start to tremble. This was the chance I'd been dreaming about for so long. My heart felt like it was going to burst right out of my chest. It was like my body was shutting down, and all I could think about was, please don't hurt me. Please don't reject me. Sarah was walking really close to me, like she was trying to hold my hand. We kept bumping into each other, and it was driving me nuts. I felt my brain turning into mush. I didn't know what to do. What if I misinterpreted things? After a while, it became so intense that I started walking faster. She seemed kind of confused. Maybe she noticed how nervous I was, but I was too scared to stop or talk. As we drove back to the apartment, Sarah was really quiet. I couldn't believe that our trip to the library was the same place where I wanted to finally tell her how I felt. But everything had gone wrong. She kept looking straight ahead, and I couldn't tell if it was a good thing or a bad thing. She went into her room without saying a word, and then I bolted into mine. I could hardly breathe. What was I going to do? Was she going to act like nothing happened? Just a few minutes later, Sarah came out of her room and headed straight for my door. I braced myself, thinking, she's going to break things off, isn't she? "Hey," she said softly. "Can I ask you a question? I've been feeling weird about how things have been between us. I don't know if I just misunderstood what happened, but, are you okay with what happened, or did you just want to have sex with me?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Did she think I just wanted to get her into bed and then just leave? Was that how I was coming across? I hated it. She continued talking, her voice low and sad. "I don't think I can be around you like this if you're not into me. You've been avoiding me, but letting me cuddle up with you at night. I really like you, and I can't pretend that nothing's going on," Sarah explained. "I need to know, what are you thinking?" Her words were making me cry inside. It hurt me so bad that she felt rejected, and I didn't even realize I was being so cold and mean. It was like a bucket of icy water had been poured over my head. The sound of Sarah's voice was like a lifeline. Her words pulled me out of the spiral of shame that I'd been trapped in. I had to be honest with her and with myself. I couldn't ignore how much I had fallen for her, and so, I decided to do something I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I took a deep breath, and I finally told her how I felt. Sarah, you are the absolute best. I think I've liked you for so long, and it's hard to even explain. I know how it might look, but I promise it's not like that. You don't need to pretend. I actually like you, and I like you a lot. You mean you're into girls? Sarah looked into my eyes. Like, you want to be with me? Yes, I blurted out. I like you, Sarah. I really do. She laughed, a little awkwardly at first. But then she took my hand. Well, I guess we are dating then, she said with a smile. I can't believe I was actually dating Sarah, the girl who I had a crush on for 3 years. This was surreal. We were going on dates, holding hands, sharing kisses. Life with Sarah was incredible. After some time passed, Sarah decided that she wanted to get married. She was ready to make this relationship real, which made me so happy. She proposed to me, we were getting married, and we even got a dog together. Life was truly magical. It felt like I was living a dream. All because I had taken a chance on the girl who made my heart skip a beat. We named our dog Locket, after her favorite My Little Pony. She was the cutest thing ever. Our little family was complete. Life was full of surprises. I wouldn't change a thing about the journey we had taken together. Next story. My best friend is going through a divorce, and it's affecting my marriage too. My best friend, Alice, and I have been close since long before we met our husbands. We're practically sisters. We tell each other everything, and we're always there for each other. We've been through a lot together, and I've always considered her family. Recently, Alice told me that Ken, her husband, wants a divorce. It broke my heart to hear that. She said the problem started because Ken was having a hard time dealing with her job. Alice is super ambitious and has always done really well at her work. She's always getting promoted and taking on new challenges, and she's really good at what she does. She's always had her sights set on a successful career. Ken is a metal worker, and he works from a shop on their property. He keeps really busy with work, and he's always been a hard-working guy. Alice makes much more money than Ken, and it has caused some problems between them. Ken has tried to tell Alice that he's not happy with her work schedule and the way it's affecting their family. He's asked her to slow down, but she keeps saying that she will, even though she knows she probably won't. She hopes that if she ignores the problem, he'll forget about it, but that hasn't happened. It's really hard to tell if she doesn't want to hear it because she really does want to try to change her life or because she secretly loves having so much control over her own career. Things got a lot worse when Alice was on a business trip and decided to stay longer. They already had a family vacation planned when she got back, but before she said yes to the extra work, she didn't even tell Ken about it. She went ahead and extended her trip without talking to him first. She seemed super excited about it, too, even though she knew it would mean that she had to skip the family vacation that she had already promised her family. When she came home, she apologized and told Ken that she would make it up to him and their daughter. She said that she couldn't say no to the job. I'm not sure if she's telling the truth, but she seemed upset that Ken was mad at her. When Alice got home, Ken had packed up all of his things. He moved his shop and all of his tools to a storage unit. He hadn't told her that he was moving out, and he'd been acting like everything was normal before that. He'd just been waiting for her to get home. Alice was shocked and really hurt. She was so shocked that she just kept repeating, I didn't think he'd actually do it. At first, Alice was just sad that Ken had left her, but then she got angry when he made it clear that he wasn't interested in getting back together. He was done, and Alice felt hurt because of it. She's been sad and angry, and she doesn't know what to do. Ken and my husband, David, have been talking about what's been happening this whole time. David knew that there were some problems between Alice and Ken, but he had no idea how serious things were until after Ken left Alice. Ken told David that Alice has been acting differently since she started her new job. It seems like she's checked out of family life. They don't do things together anymore, and she doesn't even try to stay in touch with him when she's on business trips. She acts like she has a million things to do and is too busy to focus on her family. He talked to her about it, but she just brushed him off. Things got much worse after a certain event. Their daughter, who they both adopted many years ago, would go back and forth between Ken's apartment and Alice's old house, depending on whose weekend it was. One Sunday evening, it was supposed to be Ken's weekend with his daughter, and he would normally bring her back to Alice's house. That night, Alice had gone out with some friends, and she'd had too much to drink. She got really drunk and couldn't remember what day it was. She thought it was Saturday, but it was actually Sunday. Ken showed up with the daughter and walked into a big mess. Alice was in the hot tub with some other people, and they were all pretty clearly messed up. Alice and her friends weren't doing anything wrong. but it was clear they'd been drinking. Alice started yelling at Ken. She was really upset, and she started to call him names. She didn't realize that it was already Sunday. Ken didn't want his daughter to see what was going on, so he stayed in his truck with her while Alice continued to yell and act crazy. The next day, Alice couldn't remember what had happened the night before. She had sent some terrible messages to Ken. David saw the messages later because Ken sent him the screenshots. It's hard to repeat what Alice said, but she was being really awful and personal. Because of all of this, Ken is now trying to get the house from Alice and gain custody of their daughter. Alice is in a tough place, and she's trying to deal with it all by herself. She really needs friends right now, but she only has me. Even her own daughter wants to live with Ken instead of her. But even though I know it's been hard for her, I still want to be her friend. My husband wants me to end our friendship. David has said some really mean things about Alice. He seems to think she's a terrible person. He called her a terrible mother, even though I know she really loves her daughter. He's gone so far as to call her a self-absorbed F-King BCH. David says he doesn't want me to be caught up in her mess, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. When I told him that she just needs some time to recover and that she'll get better, he just tells me that she's a lost cause. He doesn't see that she's hurting. He thinks that it's just who she is, and he doesn't know why I still want to be friends with her. I think that David is just taking sides and trying to protect his friend, Ken. He's letting Ken's influence over him cloud his judgment, and he's forgetting that Alice is a good person who's going through a hard time. He seems to have completely forgotten all the things I've told him about Alice. I can't seem to convince him that she's a good person deep down. She has always been there for me and for him, and he should be there for her now. Alice asked me to go out with her a couple of times, and I went with her once. I didn't tell David because I knew he wouldn't let me. I really wanted to talk to her face to face and let her know that I'm there for her. After I told David that I saw Alice, he went crazy, and he repeated again that I should end my friendship with Alice if I don't want problems between us. I know I should be able to have my own friends and be there for them without having to worry about David getting upset. I'm so confused, and I really need advice about how to deal with this situation. I want to support my best friend, Alice, but my own husband doesn't want me to be friends with her. This is a mess. Edit. I wrote this during my lunch break, and now I see so many comments. It seems like I haven't said anything good about Alice. I reread what I wrote and see that you're right. So, here's the thing. Alice wasn't always like this. Her drinking, ignoring her family, and work obsession are all new. She used to be a great mom. We used to have fun family outings and she and Ken were happy. When she took the new promotion, everything changed slowly until this big fight happened. Maybe I'm blinded to her behavior now because I know she wasn't always this way. It's easy to see what's wrong, but it's hard to see what's still right. She's changed, but that doesn't mean she isn't the same person anymore. I plan on talking to Alice tonight and having a real conversation with her. And I'm going to let my husband know what we talk about. I've been so focused on Alice's bad behavior that I forgot to mention her good qualities. Maybe that's why people are being so critical. It makes sense. Here's what else happened. I had planned to get coffee with Alice and help her out at her house before she left for her business trip on Monday. I was going to tell her that we were all worried about her, her family and mine, and that we all want her to be happy. But her actions had been concerning us. I hoped we would have a serious talk and things would be okay. I wanted to see my friend again and hoped she would make some changes. None of that happened. She was angry from the second I walked into her house. It felt like she knew what I was going to say even before I opened my mouth. When I said I was worried about her, she said she was fine. She just wanted to have some fun and let loose. She said she works hard and can do what she wants now that Ken left. She talked about how Ken wasn't thankful enough for how hard she worked and how much money she had earned for him. She was pretty harsh about it, and it made me uncomfortable. To be clear, Ken is a hard-working guy who didn't need her money. He was the one earning money when they first got together. She earns more now, but he definitely didn't depend on her. Some of the commenters said that Alice was probably cheating on Ken. I asked her about it, and she got really upset. She said, "I can't believe you would even ask me that." I reminded her about the hot tub incident and the whole situation. She shrugged it off and said she would never cheat. I asked who the guys were, and it turns out they were interns at her company. When I asked how old they were, she just said, they were legal. The way she said it made me think of how older guys talk about younger women, and it just felt gross. I don't know if she cheated on Ken before he left, but honestly, I don't know anything about her anymore. That's when things took a weird turn. We were talking, and Alice was packing for her business trip. I asked her where she was going this time. She said Dallas. I thought that was normal because she has been to Dallas for work before. What struck me as strange was what she was packing. She had long pants, sweatshirts, a beanie, jackets, hiking boots, all fall clothes, not things you would wear in Dallas right now. I don't think I even saw her pack work clothes. And the weirdest part, she had a random Seattle Mariners jersey. Alice doesn't follow baseball at all. She never has. It was all so odd. It felt like she was really focused on packing and getting ready for her daughter to come over. So I left. We hugged, and I told her I loved her and wanted her to be happy. She said, "I'll think about it." It seemed like we were ending on a positive note. When I got home, David and I talked about how things went. I told him about the clothes she was packing and the Mariners jersey. He thought it was weird too. But besides just being strange, we didn't think anything more of it at the time. But then my husband went full detective online. He found out who lives in Seattle and has a profile picture on Facebook of himself at a Mariners game. It was her daughter's biological father. I felt sick. I checked the Mariners schedule, and they have home games next week. I called Alice right away and asked her if she was really going to Dallas. She said, "Yeah, why?" I asked her if she was sure she wasn't going to see her ex's name in Seattle. She got quiet. It was probably a whole minute of silence. I told her she better not lie to me and that I would find out anyway. She finally admitted the truth. She said she got in touch with him right after Ken left her, and they started talking more and more. She said he is a different person now and has changed his life for the better, blah, blah, blah. That guy never changed. I didn't talk about her baby daddy in the earlier posts because it didn't seem relevant. But you need to know that this guy is a terrible human being. He cheated on Alice while she was pregnant, kicked her out when she found out, slapped her around, and called her horrible names. I flew to Seattle, got her, and brought her home. She lived with me for a while. She met Ken soon after having her daughter, and they moved in together within a year of dating. It was amazing how quickly she could forget. Alice had completely forgiven him. But she said he changed, that he's a new person. I just didn't see it. I told her that out of all the awful things she's done lately, this was by far the worst. I said I was disappointed in her and couldn't believe she would ever talk to him after what he did and how he treated her. She kept saying it was years ago and she's changed and he wants to meet their daughter one day. I started yelling at her so loud I think I lost my voice. I told her I was done with her and if she got on that plane to Seattle, she should never contact me again. I hung up. She called back and texted, but I ignored her. I had no energy for her. I just sat on the couch crying while David held me. He didn't say mean things, just let me cry and said he was sorry. Alice texted me this morning and said she was sorry for lying to me, but that she's a grown-up and can take care of herself. I asked her if she was still going to Seattle. She said yes. I blocked her. It's over. I told Ken everything. He was upset but not surprised. He said he knew how close Alice and I were and that he was sorry I had lost my friend. I said I was sorry he had lost his wife. You guys were right. I feel like a total idiot. Maybe it's selfish of me, but I feel betrayed. My friend is ruining her life, and she's going back to the guy who abandoned her while she was pregnant. I tried to help her and stand up for her, hoping she would get better. But that's over.